So this is, remember, not a prophecy, okay? This is in regards to the case of the McKenzie Shirilla case. The little bit that I know about the case and what I observed. So you may disagree with my observations. This does not come from the full culmination. I did not preside over the case, of course. I wasn't the judge. I was not a juror or anything. And I did not keep up, honestly, with the case religiously. I was actually kind of off put because of the ages, and, these are people half my age, so I was not terribly interested, except for that it's really sad, because I see them as babies, because they're, but in keeping with that in mind, as that disclaimer, you have to understand I don't have a religious knowledge of this case. So I took a brief mental snapshot of this case, and from what I would say, I gave this case about approximately 5 hours of listening time. For somebody, they would think that's deep analysis. I don't think, when it comes to murder, etc., I don't think that is deep analysis at all. I feel like that is brief, but your opinion may differ. But my brief snapshot of what I gathered and observed from it, from approximately 5 hours of listening time, and I also talked about it with my sons in regards to relationships and boundaries and healthy self-image and how to see other people, etc., domestic violence, etc. And I just put out a video, but you won't see that video. So if you don't see it, it's okay. You will see the video, but not now, okay? Because it's in queue. I have several videos uploading, okay? So I put out a video in regards to the arbitrary nature of man, especially when it comes to sin. So there's a Bible verse that says man does right in his eyes and her eyes. That makes sin very arbitrary. That makes the nature of men, women in this hour very arbitrary. The Bible has one gospel for all of us, black, white, rich, and poor. I heard the lamentations. What I felt was the lamentations of a woman, a girl that was in love, that was grappling with very deep, very intense emotions, and a sad soul, a very sad soul. And I found it remarkable that, I found it absolutely remarkable and intriguing that the people who were commenting on this case had zero detection of this at all, which I found extremely intriguing. And one thing that made me think, now you might be like, well, why did you get that, especially if no one else is perceiving that? Because she was in the driver's seat. So for all intents and purposes, I am trying to figure out also how she did not die. If this was not a deep fake, how is this girl not dead? And I also was wondering if maybe she's into witchcraft or something demonic. Also, knowing that even if she is, God still loves her, okay, and can save her. But she could be a witch, but nonetheless, God still loves her and can save her. But that indicates to me that this woman was so aggrieved and has such lamentation of spirit that she was willing to die. So I found it insane. I just found it so intriguing that while there's certain things you don't necessarily want to excuse such behavior, and if it were the other way around, for example, and it was the male, quite frankly, with my channel, I think you are inclined to believe me if you actually study my stuff, I would have said the same thing in regards to the male, because I try to operate in integrity on this channel. And if you see other analysis that I have done, I have totally mentioned aggrieved spirits, broken souls, etc. when it comes to both male and female. So if you want to check out the integrity of my channel, you are more than welcome to check it out. I will meet the test, okay, with flying colors. So nonetheless, you go on and there's zero any type of compassion or empathy. Not saying that there's no room for reprimand, punishment, discipline, but I found it remarkable. And I also found it it's interesting because there was a time where the woman would receive some type of compassion. And I'm not saying that women should not be, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I had predicted that that would change. But for all the wrong reasons, not because men will come to their senses and realize that some people are Jezebels. No, but for all the wrong reasons, because men are becoming women, because men have more in common with women than women have in common with women, because both sexes are blind, because people lack discernment, just for every wrong reason. You can't have a right result for a wrong reason. Two things can exist in the same space, right? So this woman was so aggrieved at the lamentations, and you might be wondering, why were you talking about the arbitrary nature? Why are you going on and on about the arbitrary nature of man? Well, but the Bible says, do not sin, do not commit iniquity, do not sexually sin. And especially the messaging that fake Christians, fake pastors, and the fake black church and the fake black community at large, not everybody, of course not, but with this fake gospel and the fake white evangelical Christians that are promoting this fallacy that there are two gospels that God had imagined in his mind, where spirit is spirit, and there is not even male or female in spirit. There is in body, but not in spirit. And where God has said thus in his word, that they would even slightly suggest or imply that God had imagined, who said that there's neither even male nor female, rich or poor, free or bond, in spirit, right, in his house, to be no division, for the word to be clear, sanctified, holy, kept sacred, for the pulpits to remain pure, and for there to be no defilement nor teaching of doctrines of devils in his pulpits, that they are supposed to be sacred and holy, that his church is not supposed to go back on his word, to taint his word, take away from it, add to it, manipulate it, or anything such like that. And we have in this situation where these ones, of course, not all of them, right, would imply in their mind that that God who said all of the above imagined one gospel for black people and another gospel for white people, which is absolutely ridiculous. There is one gospel. And so you see a situation where this has culminated from a situation that should not have taken place to begin with. For those of you who thought I was rambling, it looks like I wasn't rambling, because I sure enough got to my destination and got there on time. So all of this culminated from the arbitrary sin of man. And yet man continues, because man is hard-headed, and man is vain, and man is stiff-necked, and man is rebellious. After many warnings, man is very rebellious. Woman is extremely rebellious. And not only do they sin and continue in sin, they teach their young persons not the gospel of Jesus Christ. They teach their young ones, those that are supposed to be arrows and a treasure and a heritage of the Lord, those that should be dedicated to Jesus Christ and given back to him as the greatest treasure that someone can have earthside besides their own soul or that of their spouse, is their children. And instead of doing that, they have rejected what God has said entirely, dismissed it as if it is a trifling nothing, and continue to teach their young ones sin. This all culminated from sin. And someone who has some courage and integrity needs to tell you that. Also, because of sin, when people are inclined and moved and participating in sin, it dulls the senses of discernment. So you are not as easily able to see that this soul was in the lamentations of a relationship in which someone is saying, well, I don't really want to see you. And should a person be able to say that and not die? Absolutely. But God has said, I hate divorce. God says, hey, you want to know what I feel about divorce? I hate it. He didn't say I strongly dislike it. He didn't say, well, I snub my nose at it. He says, guess what, America? I hate divorce. And just because you use people like underwear, like reusable, like some type of like dismissed thing, like a used condom, a piece of stick chewing gum, just because y'all do this, just because some of you do this, this is nothing. It's not in the vicinity of the character of God. Every time you do this, you are more like the devil than God. This is not God's work. God prefers for someone to be with someone till one of y'all dies. That is God. Anything apart from that is inappropriate sexual behavior. All forms of sexual behavior outside of holy matrimony is lewd behavior. And someone with integrity needs to tell you that.